plugged into the Agorist Nexus. We need the whole community connected. We're the alternative collective, self-sufficient and effective. So the rug from effective. Each one teach one.
And we're back. Hey, I think we got Ernie there now. How you doing, Ernie? Are you there?
I'm good.
What's up, man?
Lots going on. I'm just wanting to know where I got to look. Oh, here it is.
Right here.
Over
right here. Yep.
All right.
All right, man. It's been a while since we've chatted. Let's see if I can remember. Several years ago, I think I traveled to Arizona for a Larkin Rose event, and we hung out in your backyard for the evening.
Oh, hell yeah. I remember now.
Yeah, and it was a bunch of.
Where do I know this guy from? Awesome. Thanks for reminding me.
It was a bunch of anarchists from Dallas. We drove up to Arizona and we hung out with you for a while. I think you interviewed me on your show back then. That was when I was trying to do the not governor of Texas thing. It's been a while. How you been?
I'm doing great. We're having a good time down here, and I'm really glad we had an opportunity to share. Were you able to hook up with James Corbett to get him on the Zoom?
I do not see him on the call yet. So,
okay, I mean, did you send him the link?
Hopefully someone did. I gave the information to the people, so hopefully we got that to him.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure it didn't fall through the cracks. Hopefully he'll come on. Yeah, he's always a minute or two late because he's a minute too late. But, you know, James and I do a show for years, every week on Wednesdays, talking about a lot of things. And what we're talking about tonight, I mean, should I explain what's going on? Because once it gets over to Colin being all geekified, man, it's gonna go weird, you know.
I'll try to keep it slow today.
Yeah,
it's getting late. I was a little slower today during the panel, so. Yeah.
All right, so is it now a good appropriate time?
Yeah, go for it.
Tell you what's up.
Yeah.
All right. You probably more than a lot of people understand as a talk show host, when you have content providers putting stuff up, and we saw this happen after the Levolution 07, 08, and 09, Freedom's Phoenix, man, we were riding the wave, we were doing really well, and so on. Then the man starts cutting it. They're going, oh, hell no, you're not allowed to be popular and advocate for freedom and deplatform and, you know, demonetize, everything. And I'm going, I'm tired of being D'd. So I go, nope. I would camp on all of the social media, you know, for Freedom's Phoenix, Declare Your Independence, Ernest Hancock, Pirates Without Borders, and Love Bus Liberty Tour, and so on. We get the accounts for each one of those on all the platforms from everything. So dozens of accounts, and we just sat there on them because I knew that once we go on and we're talking all this freedom, and you're done. So I go, all right, that's not what's going to happen. When we come back, which we just started turning everything on just a week ago in anticipation of Anarchapulco, and the point was, I wanted to come back, and I go, yeah. Oh, we're back. We're here to let you know we're over there. But we had to create an over there where they could not censor or delete. Well, that, you know, Derek Slopey, our IT guy out of Maine, he goes, you know, I think this IPFS thing is what you've been talking about. This was years ago. So for our site, and we've done some others, platform, you know, we're taking stuff down from Dell Bigtree to Highwire and Dr. McCullough, and we would scrape a lot of their stuff and have it where it was permanently archived in case it would go away forever. Well, James Corbett and I doing shows, he's all about it. He's like, absolutely, I see where this is going. So we took all of James Corbett's site and we put it on interplanetary file system, file sharing, to where instead of how the internet kind of, now, you know, Colin's going to correct me, but how it works is you have a DNS number for like freedomsphoenix.com. You go there and you're looking for a file, and it's a physical location, a server farm, and we may have mirrors and backups and out of the country and all that, but it's a place. And that way they're like, you know, oh, we're going to be all free, and the MAGA people go to Parler and they put it on Amazon's web service. What the hell did you think was going to happen? You know,
right.
So what we did is we go, no, IPFS is a named file and it replicates. And the more and James was going, Ernie, I do this. You know, I'm a popular guy. You know, it's going to crash the server. And I go, that's not how it works. the more it's accessed, the more it's cached, the more it's replicated, the faster it goes. And we've had a lot of luck with the websites that we've platformed on IPFS and the naming system, IPNS. What happens is it's faster than the World Wide Web, and we're just waiting to go. Now, we've already have our videos. It's DYIWEH, Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock on Odyssey, has already for months has been putting our files up there. And I didn't even know it. You know, we set it up a week ago. We went and looked at them, and I go, Jeremy did this? I'm like, all right, man, it's done. Well, we're trying to platform it on Float. Matt Raymer from ContentSafe.co is taken to where this is my dream. And I know your dream, and James's dream is the dream. One, it can't be deleted. But the big thing is that you upload one file, and that file gets replicated across all the platforms. And even if they delete the whole entire platform, the hash that is the named file that goes to that, it's all on these nodes all over the place, and it can't be stricken from the internet. It's like trying to take down, Bitcoin Cash blockchain or something, So what we did, and one of the things that was part of that, we've been working with Colin and Colin Pape from Presearch, and I go, what we really need is we need also a search engine so that you can find this outside of, the traditional search of they, them, those, because the DNS numbers, the man's just going to shut. Everybody thinks that, they're deplatforming, it's as bad as it's going to get. No, when they can just turn your number off. And I remember when I first started doing radio in 2003, the entire country of Libya got turned off. Then there's, we accidentally drugged some anchors by Egypt, and all of Middle East and Asia got turned off. And I'm going, if they can, they will. And we go into a war, you want to see some propaganda and some deplatforming and censorship, you just wait till that happens. So we have to have somewhere, there's an immutable location of data. Because this is what I wanted, and what you and all the content providers want. I want to be able to upload a file one time, and then I don't have to worry about it anymore, and it can't be deleted. And then it propagates across different platforms that you select. Now, the platforms, either you can do it manually, or they can start to integrate with this system so that it just automatically pulls from your files. So what Colin did, I'm going to turn it over to Colin, but once he gets going, man, it's going to get all geeks. So all you geeks out there, get your pencils out. So what I said, we need to have search. So how do you search hashes? It's like looking for a transaction on Bitcoin or something. You have to have it. So what he's done with Nexus.io is I don't know, in a day, but he's been working on it for a while, but he made it all perfect. I wrote
the query DSL in a few days, like a few months ago, and then this is the first official use case of it, pre-beta.
We were hoping to
we did it in about a day,
but we can't get it.
No, I mean, we sent him the link. He says he can run the web browser from his computer. He sent the link, so we might be able to demo it that way. But
well, let me go and explain it before you get geeky.
I sent him in Telegram.
So what happens is, Danny's taking care of it. So what happens is...
Oh, they sent me something? I need to know. Let me look.
I sent you something in Telegram.
Yeah, link in Telegram.
Okay.
So you can screen share from yours, because we have a limitation on switching HDMIs out here.
I'll work on that right now while Ernie's describing it to us. I'll work on getting that show. Yep.
Just
go for it.
A little query for Corbett on there and just show how it works.
Colin Pape at Presearch, last year, I go, we're going to need a search engine that would promote the search engine for, looking up IPFS files. And he goes, yeah, man, you guys get it done. I'll pimp it. And well, Colin, the Collins were talking today. And it's like, here we go. So what Colin Cantrell has done is that you can search by, just like any regular search, it has a bunch of other features too, so that now all the content providers in the Liberty community that, just like they're counting on some search engine like Google or DuckDuck or Smart or whatever the hell, we have our own Liberty search engine for content. You can look up anybody, anything. Boom, shakalaka, it's there. And they are done.
And it's so important, because when I've looked at all these false narratives, all this control of information, it's like, what's the genesis? What's the root of it? Where do they do the most damage? Search. because everybody Googles something and they believe if it's not on the first page, it doesn't exist or it's not relevant, right? You have to, it just creates this informational control.
It's manipulated.
Yeah, I mean, even the subtle little suggestions when you type in a letter, you know, I mean, the people that you get popping up, right?
You feel lucky? Yeah, I want to be propaganda.
And search is a big problem. I mean, it really, we need a verifiable index. We need an open indexing system. So what we built was just a simple demo off of Ernie's IPFS records. We created a bunch of registers on a Nexus hybrid network, and essentially that has metadata in that specific asset. So some of that metadata includes the snap hash, some of it's the video hash, which then links to an IPFS record. And the basically query DSL in the Nexus API allows us to do contextual search for any level of that specific asset. So we've created this immutable metadata on top of an immutable file. So think of it as like the file header. You have the header, but they're kind of somewhat decoupled. The file header is on the blockchain, but the file data is on IPFS. And this is just a step towards, you know, we're developing our own file system as well with incentivization. This demo, you may see, it's most likely going to be slow loading the videos. IPFS, that was one of the difficulties in creating it. It's just slow to load because you have node incentive issues. Even though it loads more nodes on a specific file that has higher demand, not everybody runs nodes because there's no incentive for it, similar to Bitcoin.
Okay, now this is
right?
something that we worked on. We call it the Pirate Box, and it's just a demo. You can do it on old laptops or whatever, but we wanted to show that this could be done with Raspberry Pis, and we call it Pirate Box Project on Telegram. You go look for Pirate Box Project, and it'll blow up all over the place. But there's a few other teams working on this too, and this is how it works. You have the Liberty library that we can preload a bunch of your favorites, you know, Corbett, us, you know, Anarchast, whatever, and it's already there, and they are the seeds for it. When James goes, everybody buy the Liberty, you know, library, because he's always going about they're burning the Library of Alexandria. So this is what we've done. When you pin files or you subscribe to a show that you like, then that automatically adds to your node. Well, what happens, that means that the people become the internet. And it just, it's faster. Even now, without that.
What should I search? I think I have it pulled up here.
There you go.
There you go.
There you go. So you're going to get some thumbnails going to pop. Try Corbett. It's Corbett with a capital. It's case sensitive. It's case sensitive.
Okay.
Capital C. Yeah.
There we go.
Pull up. So we can do some relevant. The reason that's a good search is because we have more IPFS caching. So this is just a simple demonstration of it. But what's happening on the back end, magic, is all of this is actually indexed through blockchain assets on a Nexus hybrid network. So one thing that's really fundamental about blockchains, okay, is we have an immutable, trustless system that anyone can contribute to. So when we're talking about developing open indexes, it's fundamental to have something we can all share, but we can all contribute to, but we don't have to worry about somebody tampering with the database. So conventional search over blockchains or any type of IPFS is generally done through a database. I'm not sure how Odyssey does it, but from looking at their code, it appears like they have some sort of internal caching system of their own files that they cache from IPFS, which has somewhat of a redundancy. You'll see it's going to be slow as balls. The first one,
Well, try the first one.
The first one's got the best load time from what my test. The very, very top one, yeah. That one.
We're talking about this.
Click the thumbnail, or the thumbnail will bring you a nice pop-up, or that brings you the full. And it'll take a minute to load. This is an architectural issue of IPFS, but it's still, this one loads within a few minutes or a few seconds. But this is all loaded directly off of IPFS, right? And we kind of modeled it slightly off of the Google just to show kind of that interface that everybody's already used to. But the important thing that I was getting to is we need to have an open indexing system. Okay, Google, they have bots. The way it works, it used to work in the early 90s. You'd go to Yahoo, you'd register your website, say, hey, I'm a new website, go check, send a bot there, index me and categorize me and so on and so forth. But what we're doing here is we're creating a type of similar thing for Liberty. We got two pieces. The piece that we're showing you here is a local search index for Ernie's specific Freedom Phoenix content, right? He said, I think it was about a year ago, I want search. I got my IPFS pirate boxes. Nobody can do search. Can you do it? And we were on the airplane, came back, we landed. He's like, so blah, blah, blah. When are you going to do something? I'm like, well, your search, let's do it. And he's like, oh, really? Oh, yeah. And I'm like, yeah.
He goes, it's done. I'm going, well,
it's done.
What the hell? You didn't call me?
Yeah,
I mean,
so
come on.
We framed up some HTML on top of a Nexus hybrid network and loaded up some assets from a nice feed that it was that I got from.
Yeah, no, he pimped it out while he was sitting there while I was doing MCing.
No, I mean, Kui helped too. Kui from,
okay.
I mean, he's from Vietnam. I mean, I'm not much of a web coder. I'm a back end guy. So I was like, Kui, come on, can you help a brother out? And he did a great job.
I just want, we're just demoing it as a concept.
This was a demo to show exactly how it can look and how it can work. But that web portal is just a window, right? It's just a window into a larger system, because what we're developing is an open indexing system. So that specific one was kind of a generic private network geared towards earnest content. But what we're talking about with Colin from Presearch and other people is we want to develop an open indexing system where, Nexus.io/search could function in the same way that Presearch would as a different window, but it would be through the same data set. So if you go to Presearch and you say, here's my libertarian site, it'll pop up and it'll do the whole indexing right there on Presearch side, but you would still pick up the results on the Nexus.io side, right? They're different windows into the same data set. So what we're working on right now is developing kind of a hybrid network where we can, as libertarians with libertarian content, old school, load our websites up. And what it's going to do is it's going to essentially create an asset and have tags and searchable, keywords that you'll be able to have other people index your site by. And then the really important part too is developing an algorithm for the filtering and weighting of that specific data. And part of that algorithm is going to have a public algorithm, which is going to be, this is the generic, hey, this person backlinks or whatever, somewhat similar derivative of Google, because you have to have a relevance rating, right? That particular demonstration was just kind of a raw dump of data from the blockchain queried using the query DSL. But it doesn't have a ranking system, but we're going to be developing that. And that's what the different windows will actually
Let me ask you a couple of questions. So sorry to interrupt. So why did you choose to build this on IPFS as opposed to like the library network, for example?
That would be a question for Ernest.
Okay.
I didn't do the IPFS. I just built a search engine on top of his IPFS
this was
existing
our
records.
Concern with, and I like Jeremy. We're friends, and he's been doing great. And he's taken. I don't know how he's doing, but he's pulling our I'm not loud enough. He's pulling the IPFS, from our site, and I have an Odyssey site that has the videos up there. The problem is it has to be to where there's not a central point of failure. Yep. Even though Odyssey may be decentralized and Scott's app and all that stuff, it's still a brick and mortar place in Manchester with a Delaware, LLC.
They're running a CDN too.
And while he has been, just from perspective, even at PorkFest, Jeremy gets up and he goes, "I'm telling you, millions of dollars I've spent dealing with the SEC because he had a library token there, blah, 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 blah."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Look, I'll pay you. Tell me what it is that I got to do for me to be able to just operate my business without you bothering." They go, "Nah, we want to bother you." Okay.
Yeah.
So
government's not interested in that.
Internet 3-point kiss my ass.
Well, yeah, and
this is it.
This is what I say about open index, right? Library is cool. Or Odyssey, you go to it. Yeah, I got a nice web interface. It looks pretty. It's shiny. You look in there, but I look in there and I'm looking. Okay, Ernie, let's find your IPFS links. They're not in there because they have their own routes inside. So it looks to me, I don't know their backend architecture. I haven't seen it, but I'm assuming that they're caching IPFS files and loading them onto their own central server, which is still semi-decentralized because you're not sourcing the files from a central source. You're sourcing them from a decentralized source. So if library goes down, fire up a new server cluster, repopulate the files, you'll be back online. But it's still semi, from my observations, but I could be wrong. What I'm speaking on purely is creating an open indexing system with an open data set that everybody can interpret differently through different windows. So Presearch could have their own ranking, weighting algorithms, but they're pulling on the same data set. What we're going to do on the Nexus side is develop a type of public and private algorithm. Sound like you have a public and a private key. Your public would be, this is the general weighting of the search results. If Ernie comes up here because other people have linked to Ernie and so on and so forth, and creating a trust and a relevance, right? That would be the public algorithm. But then from that data set that I get from the public algorithm, which is derived from my keywords, then I would have a private filter that would be based off of my personal preferences. Those personal preferences would never leave my physical device, right? Just like a private key, when you sign the transaction, nobody knows what your actual private key is, right? So it would be a similar concept where if I search for blockchain, let's say on nexus.io/search, I generally would be clicking more Nexus-related links. So Nexus-related content should become higher for me because it's more relevant for me as an individual. One of the reasons
Isn't that the way Google used to work?
Kind of. One of the fundamentals of this is you have Google bombing. When you have an algorithm, you can try to manipulate the algorithm to put your site in front of other people's eyes that may not be as relevant. When you have private filtration systems on each individual's computer that's generated just from their own choices, that's not broadcasted anywhere, it's kept locally on their computer, then you have the inability to control and manipulate information by controlling what people see. People will be able to find what they see by their own choices, and those choices will be insulated from anybody that's generating the services. So you wouldn't necessarily know, I can target this keyword to target more people, to get more people to bomb my keywords to get to the higher ranks, right? Which happens a lot with Google. So
all right,
this is another move to make the information harder to control, even from sources.
Geeky.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't want to put everybody to sleep watching, but yeah, I'm a pretty technical person. When I interviewed Jeremy, I challenged him on his architecture. I even asked him, hey, why didn't you guys center on IPFS when you were developing the library blockchain? They chose to go BitTorrent, which is another decentralized way of distributing content. The hashes for the BitTorrent content are all on a blockchain, just kind of like what it sounds like you guys are developing parallel systems, which I'm not complaining about. We need parallel decentralized content delivery. We need multiple. Honestly, we need innovation. We need competition. This is great news to hear you guys doing this. And I remember Ernie contacting Float, and we were having talks about having Float actually pull these feeds from your indexed IPFS content to display.
On it right now. They didn't have it quite ready. They're doing it like, today, so it's
libraries data feeds were all plugged into a central domain name that was cdn dot odyssey dot whatever, and then they had their own unique hash specific to that seemed like they had a gateway from their main domain and domain site. Is that correct? I haven't done
they host well, I don't want to make this about a different network. I want to talk about, you can host your own files on library. They have a node where they cache stuff too, but you can also do it just like what you're talking about. So it's kind of like the same thing with different tech behind the scenes. And just to remind you, hold on, just to remind you, Ernie, I'm the same Patrick that you were talking to. I work for Float. I'm the chief technology officer there. So we are working on integrating Float with IPFS with you. That's me and my team of developers. So I'm excited to work with you on that project. I just wanted, you probably never made the connection between the Patricks. It's the same Patrick.
Okay, cool.
Oh, hey, no problem.
By working with Kingsley and Aaron is because I like them, because they're good people and they have good intention in their work. But it's just we're not waiting. I mean we're developing, and the thing is that if we're able to get to where the IPNS, the naming system that has the hash, that's where all of our IPFS are under, if we can have that be out available for any platform to take it, for any platform to access it. And for Float, this has been my argument to you guys from the beginning. How is Float going to compete with Google and YouTube and so on? What are you going to do? Buy $3 billion in servers? You don't have to. The people are the internet. They are the storage. They are the ones that serve the files.
But there's an incentive issue. There's an incentive issue. I mean, even with BitTorrent, you still get leechers. Private trackers for torrents were designed to kind of help prevent the leeching issue, but you still don't have node incentives whether you use BitTorrent or IPFS, and that's the fundamental problem with this whole thing.
Right,
we're solving one problem with the search.
But don't do the problem. Tell them what the solution that you're working on to incentivize.
This is a whole 2-hour conversation that I would love to have with you guys.
We're not going to go too deep into that. That's where we're going.
You're already too deep. We're grounded, man.
That's part of the file system for the operating system and all of that, right? But that's another story. But this specific demonstration was just, I wrote a query DSL, not to make a search engine, just because I wanted to search and compute and filter on blockchain related data. So, I'd run sums, I'd run standard deviation. I want to bring
this up. The reason search, like Colin Pape pre-search, it was very important that when we do have search, that it get promoted. Well, Colin was like, yeah, man, he gave like $2,500 in Bitcoin Cash and $2,500 in pre-search tokens. And Colin's like, keep it, man, I don't care. But the point is that he was willing to use pre-search as a platform to make this available to everyone so they'd even know about it. And I'm going, cool, Liberty community, man, we're rocking. So we've been using it for years. We've been platform. You go to Declare Your Independence with ErnestHancock.com right now, and you look at any one of the shows that are up there, and you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see a graphic with a love bus on it. There's IPNS sites right there. You see Corbett's, boom, it's up to date. It cannot be purged from the internet. People don't understand the Library of Alexandria is duplicated all over the freaking planet. This is the point. And now we can search it. Now we have platforms like Float and Odyssey that could be able to display it. What the hell else we got to do? I mean, we make it prettier and easier.
And the big thing is to not rely on one window, right? We're building an open indexing. Like Odyssey's a window to their own little, center. Then there's not really any other windows that I'm currently aware of. We're building an open index that other people can join nodes into as a blockchain network where we act to index websites, right? Then also checksum. Also with Nexus, you get a byproduct of history. So you can see the history of state changes. You get the metadata, you get the searchability. This specific demonstration that we did, we wanted to show how we could build a very simple search engine on top of some IPFS related data, purely decentralized, no local caching, no centralized servers, just a pure blockchain network running with a pure IPFS and then a simple web front end that is basically your window into it. But now that can be any other web front end. Because what we want to do is we want to create collaborative economies. We want to create collaborative indexes. We want to create shared indexes. That's where you start to capture into Metcalfe's law, right? Where you get the decentralized exponential growth in that specific system. So we're starting, it was cool that it kind of opened the door back up with Colin and Presearch because they're working on some technical implementations of that. It's cool that you're working your CTO of Float because me and Kingsley and Aaron were talking a lot about Nexus integrating back in like 2020, and they had the bad CTO, I'm sure you remember, and then I'm sure you came in right after him. So I'm glad to see that they finally got a good CTO. So congrats, man.
Well,
I mean, the guy, he was cool, but they had some technical issues, and that's kind of like where the conversation stopped because the CTO drama kind of fell apart, right? So I know Aaron and Kingsley pretty well.
That was before my time. I'm not aware. I'm not aware of any drama before my time, but we are.
But I'm just saying it's good. I mean, they found a good tech guy, and props to that, man.
Oh, it's going to be awesome. And we have some amazing plans for decentralizing the entire social network separately as well, giving people the ability to run their own float nodes with uncensorable content there. That's what we're doing. Like all of us, we're all working together to come up with actual solutions rather than just talk, rather than just bitch constantly about the government and all the tyranny that's being visited upon the world right now. We're not bitching, we're fucking doing. That's what it takes, and that's what I love the group of people that I've talked to with Anarchapulco lately. And I thank you guys for being some of those people too that aren't bitching. You're doing.
Internet 3.0 kiss my ass.
Exactly.
I am so sick of this. As a content provider, you load once and you're done. My wife is my producer, and she's like, I'm gonna freaking get divorced if she has to look at more spinning wheels on 15 gazillion platform sites. We need to put it up once, and then that data goes, boom, save my marriage.
You should only really need to upload it once, and then you can just reference that specific and have that replicate across other nodes. And then that's where you need geospatial contracts and targeting.
Patrick, thanks for doing this. Yeah. I knew Colin would go all geek on it.
Not too bad. I'm talking pretty normal right now. Yeah.
Well, Jeremy's one of these people too. Jeremy's one of these guys that's out there actually creating and doing rather than just bitching. And what are the chances that we have an alternative social network? We have an alternative social network run by principled voluntarists. We have an alternative video platform, Odyssey, that has a lot of principled voluntarists running and working for that company. Like, we're at this really weird place in time where we have a shot. We have a legit shot to change the world by creating the tools that we want to see instead of bitching. It's amazing.
Well, it's more that with the Pirate Box network, not only do they are inexpensively, cheaply, and easily be able to help speed up the network, it's that they have the same capability. They can upload their own IPFS files, their family photos, their business, their private stuff. They got their own. Now, so that was the embassy that uses Tor from Start9 Labs. Well, Start9 Labs and us, when they were at Float Fest last year, they came to talk to me and said, look, man, we can take and put a container of the Pirate Box software on their machine and do the same thing in parallel. And I'm going, cool, let's do that. Because that takes care of fulfillment. They can have, the embassy and their Tor-based remote server along with the Pirate Box, and you buy it from them. I'm like, I'm in. Well, they're going to be here tomorrow. Danny Sessoms got us all hooked up with that. I'm telling you, I've been keeping my finger on this button, and it's coming together because people are serving liberty. That is the motivation.
Yep. You get yourself an embassy box, you throw a Monero wallet on there, you get your IPFS node running, your library node running, your float node running, and we are not censorable. That's the future of freedom.
Internet 3.0.
Yep.
Kiss my ass.
It's the first step.
3-point kiss my ass.
Yeah, I mean, that is That is true to an extent, but they still control the hardware, the physical layer, right? I mean, Cuba is a perfect example. You know, people are having riots in Cuba. Oh, internet shut down. The reason being the symptom of the internet's physical architecture is they have cables strung across the ocean floor, which are incredibly unreliable, and also their security narratives and justifications for those narratives around keeping those locations not known publicly. So, you know, one of those cables costs $200 million. Cutting cables between Europe and US is not out of the question if shit really hits a fan, pardon my language.
Yeah.
So I'm saying on this road to decentralized internet, yes, file systems are cool, immutability, not having a server, no LAMP stacks, yes, but that's just one more step. We got to go lower and lower until we get to the physical link. Because when the physical link cuts, it's great.
Number, you know, it's going IPFS.
You got all these nodes, but if you don't got internet.
Odyssey does that too, which is why you have the app. So, I mean, we understand. If they then those won't leave us alone, T3.
They will.
If they can't,
they will.
Skippy.
Oh, yeah, they've already been cutting the physical layer in Cuba. It's only a matter of time for other places. They got the great firewall in China. I mean, ISPs, they block DNS requests. I mean, they drop packets whenever they want. They do, you know, net neutrality throttling. We don't control the routers. We don't control the routes. We don't control the fiber. We don't control the intercontinental cables. So we don't really have an internet until we have that physical layer complete. So these stuff is a step in the right direction, but ultimately we do need to redo the physical layer to have a truly decentralized internet and say, now you can't shut us down. They still can't shut you down with IPFS and library and all of that, but it's just a lot harder to do so. And it takes a little bit more effort. And they're probably not going to say, oh, library, we're going to shut down a cable because library exists. But if shit really does hit the fan, the internet can get cut between different continents.
You think we've been censored now, deplatformed, demonetized? Wait till there's a war. I guarantee
we're at war, bro.
They're working on that right now. They're working on that right now every way they can. Yeah.
It ain't kinetic yet, but we've been at war for quite a while, brother. Like, it's here. The revolution's here. No, I mean, it's time to get shit done, guys.
Well, I want to give you guys a chance to put out a call to action, and I'll go first, and then I'll let you guys, put yours out there. If you don't have the ability, my preference is if you have the capacity and the ability and the knowledge and to build your own systems, then help us. Jump in there and stop bitching, stop talking, create something. Collaborate with others. If you don't have the skills, that's fine too. Contribute, participate, download these projects, learn these projects, help promote them, help get involved, publish your content on them. Share the links to them rather than sharing YouTube, share Odyssey or IPFS or, Float eventually when it gets to a decentralized state. You have to help support these platforms and put your eyeballs on them. Otherwise they fizzle. So that's my call to action for the general public. What do you guys have to say?
I know Aaron and Kingsley and their heart and what they're trying to accomplish and so on. I put some, money into Float tokens and so on because I go, they're going to go in the right direction. And when they start to accomplish this, I'm going to do okay, because I invest in people, in intent, the power of intent. And I know the intention of the bad guys. It ain't good, okay? So we have to have the intent to what? To not be dependent on them. And and I'm not a technologist guy. I mean, I don't know what the hell, I don't know nothing about being birthed in no code, but I know what I want. I want ones and zeros stored somewhere that cannot be deleted. I want those ones and zeros that are stored to be able to be shared with the planet. This is how it can be done. It was demonstrated to me. And then what are we waiting on? What? And all the excuses keep falling away. And this was another one. So I'm going, what you really need help with is the distribution of the nodes. And that's what he's talking about with incentives and the pirate box.
That's part of the file system, but I'm also talking about an open index rather than these blockchain equals you have an open index with multiple platforms that contribute to that data set and interpret that, and that kind of creates checking and balancing, and then potentially make that into a sister network and so on and so forth. But my call to action would be, okay, the system that we know it is Sarnoff's law, which means V equals N. It's a linear relationship, 1-to-1, right? So you put in 1, you get back 1. What we're working on is Metcalfe's law, which is V equals N squared. So you put in 1, you get 1, you put in 2, you get 4, you put in 3, you get 9, you put in 4, you get 16, right? It exponentially grows. So we together exponentially multiply value. Crypto has unlocked one of the biggest secrets that has been played against us for hundreds and thousands of years. We create the value in the money. Money is a storage of value. It's a storage of information. It's a storage of belief, in a sense. It's a mutually agreed upon contract, right? I agree that this is worth so much. We will then exchange at that specific value, right? It's a mutual contract. So we have figured out that we can do this, right? And now that we have that, we can learn to fish and we can teach other people to fish too. That's the biggest fundamental thing that we need to do, is have that sovereign independence, have that sovereign like identity where we know we don't have to rely on anything external for ourselves, because then from that we could provide that to other people and develop our own trade networks and have a truly decentralized future. So this is why they're so damn scared of us, because they are living in this Sarnoff's law, right? Now there's enough power structures around and enough delusion in the general population of their power that they're still in power. But when that time comes and we see these collaborative economies come to life, there's going to be no stopping it, because it grows exponentially. We multiply value exponentially. We see it in free markets. That's why you have to have a log chart, because a log is the inverse of exponential growth, because you want to see a more steady, because markets grow exponentially. Value grows exponentially. We create things exponentially. So if you feel like you're down, you're worried, what do I do? Go learn something. Go do something new. Go fire up a node.
BlackMarketFridays.com.
Or even go talk to someone that you thought was crazy about something, saying something. Learn something. Learn to fish. Do something, because that's what we really need to do. Find ways to collaborate with other people. Start thinking local. Build local ecosystems. Build local trade networks. Start growing grow a garden. Start researching technology, like Ernie doing his carbon nanotube batteries. Like lithium-ion batteries suck, right? So Ernie's working on carbon nanotubes. Like, do something. Push the bar. Push that envelope. Don't let yourself be sold short from what you could possibly do, because the only failure in life is when you give up or when you don't ever try, right? So try new stuff, because we need all boots on the ground right now, guys. Like, it's shit's getting bad, and it's not going to get any better. It ain't going to get any better. Okay, we got to do something about it, and we got to work together to do that, right? So if you feel scared or whatever, go find someone that you can trust in and you can learn from, and teach yourself how to fish so that you can teach other people how to fish, because that's the best way we can combat all of this.
And get a node, get an embassy, get a Raspberry Pi low pirate
Throw
box.
some content up.
So
say
easy.
Something. Yeah.
And all we're doing, James, I tell you, James Corbett says do something, it gets done. I mean, a lot of people do. Like, we did our newspaper. You go look at freedomsphoenix.com. At the top, you'll see a newspaper. Hell, we sold 6,000 online before I even printed it, because he said go. Well, when he says go, and it's time, and that's why I was hoping to have him on, when he endorses the purchasing of pirate boxes, Raspberry Pis, and load this on, be part of the network, you'll have your network. But we got to wait until it's ready.
The technology needs to mature. Yep.
Go to Pirate Box Project on Telegram. Just hang out with the guys. There's a few other teams that are working on and doing a bunch of stuff too. They don't float your boat, go over somewhere else. And I know guys that float, I really wish they had it ready by, this week. I really wanted to pump and show a demonstration of it, but they're working slow. We got guys working on it. It's going to happen. And if you're there, Patrick,
it's a slow grind.
I'm feeling the love, man. It's all going to happen.
Yeah, we got a lot going on. We're about to drop an entirely new version of Float, so that's what we're focused on right now. And as soon as that's done, we're going to be freed up to do all sorts of things. We're going to provide things like end-to-end encrypted groups so that people can have their Facebook groups, but without the ability for even Float to see what people are talking about on there, much less have the ability to censor them and things like that. So
there is a downside to this. You load this and you want to delete it, tough. That's one thing. It goes up. It's there. So FYI.
There you go. All right, well, we had James pop on for a minute, but I think he got disconnected. So is there anything else that you guys would like to talk about? I think we might also have somebody named Nick Sapanaro there that might be on location with you if he's nearby.
Yeah, we can put in nothing comment. I'll switch with them. I'm just glad we got to have this talk, because it's so important to be just thinking down this road.
Yeah, Ernie, go ahead and go ahead. I'll give you the last. I'll give you the last word, Ernie. If you want to just kind of say a few things, and then maybe like when you get to a next level on your project, we'll bring you on Anarchast and do a deep dive into it with you. Yeah,
well, Colin's going to go because I'd have to get on. It'd be a pain in the butt.
Yeah, just you're all wired up, bro.
But the only. I mean, I can talk forever. I mean, come on.
Ernie talks a lot.
But the main thing I wanted to express is there was a simple goal. I want to load one time a file, and I don't have to keep doing it, watching spinning wheels, times out, doesn't happen. Then you got to get the rendered whatever hash and put on this one, that one, that. They're all different. I'm done with that. And I remember when it was BBSs and bulletin boards back in the 90s, and we thought that the internet, this is where it was going, that we were the internet.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm running a BBS right now, by the way. We have a Decentral BBS that we have a few people that dial in. It's great. It's just somebody. Sorry, go ahead.
We thought that's where it was going. Well, when it went worldwide web and central command of InQtel of funding Facebook, Google, what the hell did you think was going to happen?
Yeah.
You know, I'm just going, nope. I remember when. And a lot of times back in 96, when we first conceptualizing doing freedomsphoenix.com, we were like, when video hits the internet, oh, you dumb kid, that'll never happen. Bandwidth, Harvard, blah, 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 blah. I go, yeah, whatever. When it does, 05 YouTube came, boom, we started freedomsphoenix.com. I have the same confidence of what's coming. It's going to be total decentralization of ones and zeros, and they can suck it.
Live above the grade, bro.
Awesome. All right. Well, if we could swap out with Nick over there.